The draft is tonight. The commissioner will be in town. They will boo him in Pittsburgh. We will all watch to see who's going to be the number one overall pick. And you know what's going to be interesting when that name gets called? Mr. Mendoza, come on down. And they pop on the television. And he goes, hey, what's up, guys? I'm live from Miami. Sorry I couldn't be in Pittsburgh because nobody wants to be in Pittsburgh. And he can't dap up the commissioner at this point, Joe. That's what we're going to get tonight. But before we get there, how about this? College football. You know me, Joe, and there's thoughts around the camps that the Congress is going to step in now and say, you must have 24 teams in a playoff. I know you hate it, and I absolutely love it, but there now is no reason here for championship games to be played because it used to be a cash grab. Now we're finding out they're meaningless games at times and also can hurt your team from getting another team into the playoff, where we've seen teams that didn't play in the SEC championship already booked their ticket to the playoff, but the team playing in the SEC championship, if they lose, might not make the playoff here. But how about this? NBC says, got no choice to sell the Big Ten championship game to anyone except Fox. How about that story?
Yeah, anybody but Fox, right? Is that it, Donnie? I mean, you got to be kidding me here. It's just, it's cash grab everywhere. It's unbelievable to me. But you know what? This all started when you gave the NCAA the rights, the media rights to sell, just like they were an NBA team or an NFL team or Major League Baseball. The minute you did that, you created a $1 billion business overnight on the backs of a bunch of 18 to 21-year-olds. And this is exactly what you get, Donnie.
It is. Money rules the world. And I love this next story so much because the last laugh you're going to think is with the Chicago Bears. It's actually not. It's with the state of Indiana. So when you take a look at politics, Joe, right? It's like Indiana is a liberal state, or excuse me, is a conservative state, and Illinois is a, liberal state there. So we always thought this was interesting. Like Indiana's like, we already have one football team. Come on, Chicago. We'll lay out the red carpet. We will drive that price higher for the state of Illinois. But if you want, we got a state waiting with a lot of money to give you to put the Chicago Bears in Indiana. So now we're seeing here a report from Evan Sidery. The Illinois House Revenue Committee just voted in favor of the Bears' new stadium in Arlington Heights. It says now if the state house also approves the final step, the Bears are officially staying in Illinois long term, which if you are Indiana, you got to be laughing because how much more did it cost the state of Illinois to keep the Chicago Bears? Because Indiana's like, we'll give you whatever we want, even though the Bears never wanted to go to Indiana. And all it did was force Illinois to pay that much more for the Chicago Bears. Kind of funny how it worked out.
Oh, it's not. It's vintage. It's absolutely vintage. Right out of the playbook, Donnie, right? Say something that absolutely won't come to fruition, but will open up 23 other doors for you to walk right through. It is exactly what they did in this spot here. You don't think somebody was making money with all of this? Oh, please. Unreal.
It's always like the free agent, Joe, let's just say in Major League Baseball, you're never going to get. And you think he's going to a rival. And you just pick up that phone to the agent and go, all right, it was $150 million. Make it $200. And they go, oh, we'll go back to the other team. Like, you can't. They just raised this $50 and we have to pay it here. And you just laugh. Like, we knew we weren't going to get him. We're going to make sure that other guy pays way more than he was supposed to pay just to show that dagger here. And that's exactly what they did. How about this next? Look, God love the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, outside of actually building a football team, is a genius at making money. No doubt about it. The Dallas Cowboys may be the biggest, overall brand in the world. Congratulations to him and all the yachts he can afford. But as a general manager and building a roster, you do have some cap restraints that you have to get to. And also understanding the cap restraints, Joe, on the players that you want to restrain. We know George Pickens has a screw loose. So how about this story from Yahoo Sports? Cowboys executive vice president Stephen Jones told reporters Wednesday that the team, not George Pickens, the team has decided he's going to play under that franchise tag this season. There won't be any long-term deal talks. This is going to be set up for some awesomeness in that Cowboys locker room now.
Oh, especially, Donnie, if they're not winning. If they are not winning, and him knowing that, well, let's also not cry me a river here, will you please, George? He's going to be making $27.3 million and fully guaranteed on a one-year deal. So, but the one thing we know about Pickens and the one thing we know about ornery wide receivers, especially dealing in Dallas, if they ain't winning, it gets kind of ugly in a hurry there, and that's exactly the kind of drama Jerry always wanted to avoid, but somehow could never do it over the years. Unreal.
And he can't figure out or understand this. Like when you make the trade for George Pickens, give him the contract. It would be an absolute bargain today compared to what they're paying him. And also under the notion, Joe, with the franchise tag, why does no team want the franchise tag? Number one, the player gets pissed off because he wants his full-time guaranteed money over the length of the contract. But number two, Joe, you can't manipulate the salary cap with a franchise tag. As you said, let's call it $28 million. Usually when you sign a guy to a $150 million contract, it's like, wait a second. His tag this year, Joe, $6 million against the cap. No, Pickens, $28 million, all against the cap in one season. You can't spread it out. Congratulations, Jerry Jones here. How about another great story?
Don't they have a number one receiver? I mean, did I miss something? Yeah, I was going to say, is CeeDee Lamb still in the league? Is he still not a Dallas Cowboy? Like, why are you tying this up with a number two receiver is beyond me, Donnie. Beyond me.
It's Jerry Jones, and what makes the world go around. It really does. In Pittsburgh tonight, we'll have the NFL draft. Here's another one. Surprise, surprise. Andrew Filipponi tweets. How about this one? One source told Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, that Aaron Rodgers is, quote, irritated by what the Steelers and Art Rooney II said about his potential return and reporting date at the NFL owners' meetings. And this could explain the delay in him signing. Got news for you, Pittsburgh. Cut the bait now.
And I got news for you, though, Pittsburgh. If you think he is anywhere near social media or has any idea right now in between, hits of peyote there out in the middle of the desert somewhere, you're out of your mind. This guy goes into hibernation and does his own thing. He could care less. He'll be there when he decides whether he's playing or not, and they should know that, Pittsburgh.
And the best part about it means nothing. They're not going to have a deep playoff run. It's Aaron Rodgers holding you hostage, and away you go at this point here. And by the way, taking a look at this, Fields on joining Kansas City and following Patrick Mahomes, he thinks he's a starter. Does he?
Yeah. I mean, of course, Coach Reid, he's been in the NFL a long time, has had a lot of success, and, very smart. And so that was, of course, deciding factor for me and an exciting factor for me when I came here. And then, of course, Pat, we of course knew of each other, but we didn't really communicate before coming here. So I'm excited to learn from him. I'm already kind of, picking his brain a little bit and just observing how he, goes about things in the meeting room, on the field and stuff like that. So I'm excited to learn and excited, of course, work with Coach Reid, EB, and, all the guys on offense.
Saying the right things, went to the right spot. No pressure to be the starter, be a backup and learn. But, Joe, also, if you don't think Andy Reid's bringing him in going, if we can use you as a tight end / H-back / 4th and 1 type option here, he would be crazy. This could be the perfect scenario. Hey, look, if you're a quarterback, don't let your pride get in the way. Be that H-back slot, increase your money and increase your years in the league, Joe, by 5-fold if you can do that. Don't be a quarterback, because if you are Fields, you'll be out of the league in 2 years. Be that H-back that they need who can play quarterback in a pinch. You'll make some good money there.
Imagine being that terrible at your job and still figuring out ways to get a paycheck from a team. Beyond me, Donnie. Beyond me how you can be. Let your kids, come on, let the kids start throwing the football early. Doesn't matter if you can play quarterback or not. Just look like you can play quarterback, and a team will give you a contract to be a backup. Unreal.
Can you imagine this guy just as like a backup or a slot tight end at this point who can play quarterback, and Andy Reid's going to cook up some of those crazy formations and get you involved and extend your career by 5 to 7 years? Couldn't be me, Joe. I want to be quarterback. Unreal. Maybe in the UFL, apparently, at this point. We got some hot topics coming up. George Kurtz is going to join us next. Draft night tonight, right here on the Grid. The Early Line right here on the SportsGrid Network. Rise and grind with us on a Thursday. Big night, as we said, in the NBA, in the NHL, Major League Baseball playing, a lot of afternoon games. But the draft is tonight. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Ranier. We welcome in George Kurtz. George, thanks for rising and grinding with us this morning. Having some fun little draft talk here for the NFL. How about that?
Going here in the NHL playoffs for me as well here. Looking forward to the draft tonight.
Good times tonight had by all. This will be in Pittsburgh tonight. The number 1 overall draft pick going to be taken by the Las Vegas Raiders. But apparently, George, we're not showing up in Pittsburgh as the number 1 pick. Mendoza on the clock right now, so we'll start there. Pittsburgh has the draft. Mendoza's not there. What do we make about this draft pick for the Raiders and what it means for the future? Because Kirk Cousins is telling us, man, I think I can still start as well.
I think Cousins likely will start, right? They can bring him along slowly here. The Raiders aren't going anywhere this year. They need to get this right. I think Mendoza is the right pick. Fine. I don't think he's, the next Andrew Luck when he was the number 1 overall. I don't think he's quite of that ilk here, but I think he is the top quarterback in the draft. I don't think he's the top player in the draft. I think if we weren't a quarterback crazy league, it might be somebody like Jeremiyah Love who goes first overall or someone like that here. But you need a quarterback to compete in the NFL. That's where they're going here. But they need to get it right. Don't rush the kid. You're not going anywhere this year anyway.
Yeah.
George, we just want to make sure. CeeDee Lamb is still on the Cowboys, right? He's still playing there? Like he's still in the league? Good. So what are the chances Jerry drafts a wide receiver now that he just tied up $27 million with a number 2 receiver in Pickens here? What are your Cowboys' plans here, you think, in this draft?
This is going to be a disaster, right? Is Pickens really the guy you want to tick off now? And why would you just tell him, hey, you're not getting a long-term deal with us. You're not. Go eat it. I don't know why. You're not going to see Pickens somewhere in August, by the way, because he has no reason to show up there and sign the franchise tender there. So a strange situation there with the Cowboys. If they stay at 12, which is a big if here, I think they would like to move up to guarantee themselves one of those top defenders there, Sonny Styles type. But if they stay at 12, could they take Tyson? I think Tyson's gone by 12. I don't think he's there. I think Tate's gone by 12. So I don't think they're taking a wide receiver because there won't be anybody there. But let's just say for giggles that every defensive player goes. All right, Delane goes, Bain goes, Downs is gone. All those guys are gone, and either Tate or Tyson are there. Well, then they go on BPA, right? Which that's what I subscribe to. BPA, you got to get the best player available. And Tyson or Tate are there at 12. Are you going to reach for someone like Falk, who's really more of a late teens guy? Akeem Misador, same thing, more of a teens guy. So, yeah, I'd be okay with them taking a wide receiver at 12 in that situation, assuming everybody else is gone. It's Jerry, let's face it. He's going to do something wacky tonight. It's what he does. So we'll see what happens here. But I think the only way they take a wide receiver is if everything else goes wrong and somehow one of those two falls.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. And Jerry's sometimes very good with those BPAs where it's like, hey, I know we got wideouts. You pick up, CeeDee Lamb. At that point, you got value. The Micah Parsons draft pick. He has made some good picks, but roster construction, sometimes not his best effort here, where he seems to like to say, let's hold your contract out, and then we'll reset the market on your price, which even now includes kickers at this point. But the draft is going to take place tonight, George. Round number 1. Usually quarterbacks get overdrafted. We know Mendoza is going to go number 1 overall. Let me ask you this question, because now we see all the smoke and the signals. Oh, Carson Beck might make it in the round number 1. Ty Simpson is always there. If I gave you the choice, like quarterbacks going in round number 1, how many quarterbacks do you think you will go there?
2. All right, that's the number, right? 1.5 is the number here to go over under here. We know Mendoza's going 1. I think and listen, I don't think Ty Simpson's the top 32 player. I don't. But what we remember in the NFL is if you take someone in the first round, you get the 5th-year option, which for quarterback is important. And what do we know, boys? Seattle at 32. They've already said it. Put it in nice, bright letters here. We want to trade out. I think that's the spot. There's going to be a team from the second round to trade into the first round to take Simpson. Maybe it's the Jets or the Cardinals. They're there at 33 and 34. So I think that's what's going to happen. Though someone's trading at the 32 to get that spot here, they'll give up whatever it takes. They get a 5th, 6th round pick to get that first round pick, get it for the 5th-year option here. So I think 2 quarterbacks will be taken in the first round. I think it's going to be bookends. Mendoza at one end, Simpson at the other.
Yeah.
Don't even do it. I'm still worried at the number 2 pick the Jets are going to screw this. Can you think of any 2 franchises, George, who have had a bigger history of misses in the draft than the Raiders and the Jets coming in at number 1 and number 2? But I'm curious here because we've seen running backs over the last couple of years, the value now as far as a first-round pick. I don't know. I'm not sold on Love. Are you? You still think he's going to be what? Top 5 markets I've seen with him? Like, where does he go, you think?
I think his floor is probably the Cardinals at 3, although I think that's a smokescreen. I think they're just trying to say, yeah, well, we're interested in Love because I think they want someone to trade up. All right. I think they want someone to trade up there and take him. So I don't think the Cardinals taking him at 3. I think it's likely the Titans at 4. If not, I think the furthest he falls is the Commanders at 7. I think the Commanders would definitely grab him at 7 if he's there. All right. So I think it's between 3 and 7 is where he goes here. I think he's a great player. All right. So I think he will help a team, but you already sort of said it there. We devalued the running backs now for what, 15, 20 years. They're sort of picking up again. But I think the fact that Genti was taken at 6 last year didn't really pay off. Not his fault. The Raiders' offensive line was putrid. Quarterback was terrible. But I think the fact that he went 6 last year, it didn't work out, does hurt Love a little bit here. So I think between 3 and 7 is where Love goes here. I got him to the Titans at 4. I think they need to do something to help out Cam Ward here. And I think they're going to think it's a little too early to take a wide receiver there. So we'll take the running back instead.
Thursday morning on the grid, your place to be. It's the early line, getting ready for the NFL draft, and a lot of action across the sports landscape here. It's Donnie Right-Sided Show Ranieri. Now we bring in Kevin Walsh on an early morning Thursday here with so much going down here. GTD is going to be on fire tonight.
Yeah, we are. It is loaded. We'll get into whatever we want to get into. We'll let people know tonight we're just going to do the NFL draft on game time decisions. We just figured there's only one draft night, right? For real. Yeah. So we figured we'd just kind of step up draft style and make it happen here. I'm pretty excited.
Hype around the draft. We'll have some fun. Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick, is going to go to Vegas. The only question I have, Ken, let me ask you this question first, too. Should Vegas technically not be on the clock and the minute the draft starts, their pick should be in? Or do you want to see them take their time and then they have to show the video of the room where they congratulate themselves for the pick they made like 6 months ago?
It's actually, it is going to be interesting how long it takes. Someone did tell me that the draft times are shorter this year, so the first round may actually move a bit quicker. But to your point, basically the Jets have the first overall pick, if you think about it, right?
Yes.
And we have absolutely no clue what the New York Jets are going to be doing at 2nd overall. So, like the mock drafts, we joke, but man, there are a lot of questions right now starting at 2, and it's a domino effect. It really, really is.
I'm looking here now, Kev, because it seems to have come down to 2 guys for the Jets, provided they don't trade out of it. But I don't know that there's... they can accumulate more assets, but they need an edge rusher, and that's what this draft has right now. So it's either going to be Reese or Bailey, and then it feels like whoever they pick, the other guy is going to Arizona because they're kind of in the same boat at that point, right?
So it feels like the other guy will go 3rd, just not to Arizona. That is kind of the read around the room right now. The Cardinals just want to trade back because the Cardinals... So at this point, I do believe that if Arizona doesn't trade out, they are going to take Jeremiyah Love, which is a crazy decision. As big of a Jeremiyah Love fan as you will find, to re-sign James Conner, freshly sign Tyler Algier, be where you are as an organization, grabbing Love 3rd feels ridiculous, which is why I think Arizona will be happy to trade back at less than like Donnie, I know you always say, you want to come up, that's going to cost you, 3 number 1s. Donnie, they might be happy with a 2nd round pick, and they'll move back to 8 or 9 because really this Arizona, number 1 priority today might be drafting Ty Simpson at some point here in the 1st round.
Now, Kevin, I know you take the draft seriously. Like myself, I hope I'm even up for the Eagles pick. I don't do any wagering or handicapping. I put no effort into the draft myself.
I can spoil it for you.
Yeah, people like yourself do that. Do you have any options tonight that you're looking for? Because I saw the tweet that you put out, like you're close to finalizing that board for draft night. Have we made any decisions for tonight?
Yeah, so a few. We know that the draft odds move a ton, and that's just kind of the nature of it. The thing is, and I will just kind of stress this to people, right? If I were to give people a money line parlay of the 3 biggest favorites, you'd be like, ooh, first day on the job. Like, that's crazy. Things are going to go wrong. The draft is very, very different, right? In the draft, you're willing to lay juice and you're looking for certainty, and you can kind of bring those things together. So I think those round one parlays are very, very interesting. I am right now trying to figure out like a Denzel Boston, Ty Simpson combination, because the Simpson noise is really, really loud at this point. The straight wager that I placed is kind of straight up and down. Was Akeem Mesidor under 25.5 draft position? Mesidor's mocked to the Tampa Bay Bucks at 15 in most drafts. Now, apparently Tampa wants to trade down. That's fine with me. They're not going to trade out of the top 25, and still someone else could grab Mesidor. So I don't know how much that juice has moved on every single book, but I think Mesidor ends up actually a top 20 pick.
So how many wide receivers are we thinking go in the first round here? Is there going to be a run? I saw the number at 5.5. It doesn't feel like we have that one game. There's no Jamar Chase or Jefferson in this. You got nice receivers, but they're number twos, really. How many go in the first round, you think?
So there's pretty much no world where Tate, Lemon, and Tyson are not first round picks. You're then looking at Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston, and Casey Concepcion. Anyone other than that other trio would be pretty surprising. Chris Bell, Malachi Fields. But that does mean the over 5.5, which is juiced now, right, Joe? Yep. It's just an exact 6, which is why I don't love that over 5.5, because could a team, picking between Casey Concepcion and an offensive lineman say, you know what, just give me the big body and we'll figure out another receiver? Omar Cooper, I mean, you guys covered Indiana football as much as anyone, any team last year in college football. Does anyone remember Omar Cooper Jr. being discussed like a round one wide receiver? Or was he discussed like the third best wide receiver on Indiana? So I've been a little hesitant. The wide receiver stuff's gotten crazy, though. Jordan Tyson went from a liability with a bad hamstring to maybe going 5th overall because he did one private workout with 15 routes. So the wide receiver stuff, I'm glad you brought it up, Joe, has been really all over the map right now.
Draft essentials tonight, Joe. The question is not who's going number 1. We know who's going number 2. Who is your choice to go number 2 in the NFL's draft tonight? Bailey, Reese, or a surprise? Somebody else? Mauinoa there from Miami? Who's it going to be, Joe?
Well, I absolutely think it's going to be Reese, and Reese has moved in the market the most, Donnie, over the last 48 hours here. But Bailey is right. But listen, can't go wrong with Bailey either. Started his career at Stanford, landed at Texas Tech, and he's young. He's only 20 years old, I believe. So, keep in mind who the head coach of the New York Jets is. He's a defensive guy, Aaron Glenn. It's going to be somebody who can get after the quarterback. And it's the first time, Donnie, I can actually say they can't screw this up going with either guy. The only thing that could happen is they don't go with either guy and they go with Simpson or some sort of craziness from there. So let's just hope they get one or the other here.
Yep, all it takes is one team to have somebody like on the draft board to throw it into chaos. And never forget those Al Davis Raider drafts where the scouts would actually tell Al Davis that a wide receiver ran a worse 40 because they know he shouldn't take him. But if they tell him he ran fast, Al Davis would take him at that point. Draft night tonight, Joe. City of Pittsburgh, center stage. Rabel's going to check in a little bit for this draft, then check out to go to counseling at this point. You're not going to be able to drive any boats down the Monongahela tonight. On Three Rivers, that means, yes, it's Three Rivers over there. They got it all locked down, but we got the information that you need to know. So, Joe, I'm going to start this off. Any shoebox bets on the number 1 overall pick? If you say, it's going to be Mendoza tonight, you think that's a good bet for the or investment for the people to make out there?
Something tells me he already has Raider gear at his place here in Miami, which is where he'll be watching, and the cameras will be rolling because he will be not at the draft. Only 16 guys, by the way, will be present for the first round here. So we'll see how that goes in Pittsburgh for the draft tonight.
Yeah, Kalshi and the predictive markets aren't going to let you take any sort of investment on, yes, the number one overall pick being Mendoza, but the no bet, Joe, on Mendoza not going number one. $100 investment pays back $10,000 if you want to be that risky in just a few hours coming up tonight. But the more questions will be, Joe, who's going overall at number two? That seems like that's where the draft is going to be won. But tonight, we got information going both ways, Joe. Is it Bailey? Is it Reese? And currently right now, if you're believing the smoke, it's now David Bailey from Texas Tech, Joe. $100 investment pays back $182 if he goes number two.
Well, and that's a big if, Donnie, because the reality is, the Jets are going to go either Bailey or Reese. That seems to be the market, right? I don't think there's a whole lot of questions about it because they're two of the best rushers in this draft. And outside of quarterback, Donnie, that's the biggest need for a lot of these teams, especially the Jets. But the question becomes with Arizona, is Arizona picking at 3? Because the trading out is a huge option here, because you're not betting on what Arizona needs here at number 3. Yeah. You're really betting on who calls them. And there's only a handful of teams, Donnie, or a handful of guys that would be worth moving up and trading anyway. So, and it's likely going to be either Reese or it's going to be Bailey, whoever the Jets don't pick. So I wouldn't focus on Arizona at 3. I would just focus on who is that team calling Arizona and who is the player left that they're going to go up and get.
Market manipulation, Joe, always happens at this time. Like sometimes you hear like a month earlier, but now that we're getting up within hours of the draft, boy, you need to read those tea leaves. Because by the way, April 20th, did you know Arvel Reese? He was currently trading on Kalshi, Joe, at 74.1% to be that number 2 overall pick. Now currently trading at 47% at this point. So listen up today. Maybe you can find yourself some deals out there. The number 3 overall pick, which means could it be Arvel Reese dropping down? He's listed at 36%. Or could it be somebody absolutely falling in love with Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love, currently trading at 29% today, Joe, for that 3rd overall pick?
And again, don't get caught up with Arizona here because, A, they need a lot of help here, but they are not, as far as I'm concerned, locked into this at all at number 3 here. But at the same time, and don't forget, by the way, they're one of the most trade-active teams that we're hearing. They're making phone calls left and right with a new head coach and organizational there. So I think Arizona wants more picks, not less picks. And I think that if you can find anything that, any sort of defensive player, that kind of angle, and that kind of market at number 3, that's where I'd go, because that's what this draft is all about. And whoever trades with Arizona, if they do, is going to take that best defensive player on the board.
Jeremiyah Love certainly surging up the board here. 29% now is a chance to be the 3rd overall pick. But come on now, Arizona, you need way more things than a running back at this point here as we take a look. That 4th overall pick, which is currently for the Titans, this is an interesting one here because now the leader in the clubhouse, it is actually Jeremiyah Love. But over the past, let's just call it month, Joe, looks like they were going to be locked into Love. Maybe not so much anymore. And could it be Sonny Styles, another talented linebacker from Ohio State, now a 35% chance here, making a lot of headway as of late for that 4 pick.
Yeah, and again, I think Tennessee is kind of sitting in a sweet spot here, because if Arizona does trade out, well, then where do they trade? They're not moving into the 4 spot, which means they got to come back down, which means, there's some options here. But this is a team that is either going to go offense to build around their young quarterback, or they're going to go with the best edge rusher that is left on the board in case something crazy happens. And it's always possible when you're talking about the Jets in Arizona. But they could benefit big time if there's chaos at number 2 or 3. But I think they're going to go defense. I still think they're going to go defense because the draft is stacked with edge rushers that all of these teams need.
Exactly. Picking a running back for a team that's not quite ready to win yet doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which then brings us up to the New York Giants, who years ago, they drafted Saquon Barkley on a bad football team. He was a good player and injured, but still on a bad football team. Do the Giants right now, looking to be on the ascension, go, now's the time to take another running back? If they do, Jeremiyah Love's only listed at 18%, but also the guys ahead of him, Tyson, Styles, and Downs, who's really talented in the secondary, they're hovering anywhere between, Joe, 22% to 20% to be that 5th overall pick.
Yeah, and listen, the Giants are the most flexible of any of these top 5 teams, Donnie, because they do have a pick now at number 10 as well. And really, Donnie, they're sitting there at 5, and basically it's completely dependent on what happens with number 3 and number 4, because they're going to react to what is already off the board. They're not dictating anything there, even though they have more flexibility. Wouldn't shock me if they maybe trade down or just simply go with whoever the best wide receiver on their board is at that point.
Talking about wide receivers, number 6 overall, the Cleveland Browns in the market for some more offense here. Seems like they got their defense figured out. One of the favorites here, Carnell Tate, listed at a 20% chance to be the 6th overall pick, but also Spencer Fano now, the leader right now at 22%. But the contract here at 20% is Carnell Tate. Do we think we might be going wide receiver in Cleveland at 6 overall?
Yeah, or could it go quarterback? Because let's face it, they still don't have one. They do not. But I don't think quarterback is going to be there. There are yes-no markets with the quarterback drafted in this spot here. But ultimately, I'm with you, Donnie. I think it's either going to be the best wide receiver or the remaining best defensive lineman.
Shedeur Sanders said there's a different vibe in town there with new head coach Mr. Monken pulling the strings, and offensive coordinators usually like to get an offensive weapon here to start out their new, let's just say, residency in Cleveland. We'll find out shortly, but we'll be right back on PME after this short break. A lot of marketplaces tonight that you want to maybe invest your wagers. Prediction Markets Edge. Take a look at this one, Joe. Players drafted in the top 3 in 2026. Now, we've been talking about the 3 same guys for months now, it feels like. Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall. That's probably going to happen. David Bailey or Arvel Reese fighting for that number 2 spot, but also thinking if anybody else can sneak into that top 3, because Mendoza, Bailey, and Reese have that locked. And then you see, all right, Jeremiyah Love at around 35%. Sonny Styles, also from Ohio State, he might be able to sneak in at 14%. My question to you, Joe, is it a smart investment to take somebody outside of the 3 favorites to maybe jump into this market tonight?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I mean, this is a better market than trying to figure out what Arizona is going to do at number 3, right? Because I think we're much more locked in on the players and what kind of draft this is going to shake out to be, at least in the top 3. I still go to Jeremiyah Love not being a top 3 pick here, Donnie, and I think you can get the no on him at still under about 70 cents here. And I think that's the way I'd look, because I'm not buying that a running back, I'm not buying him especially going in the top 3. I don't think anybody's trading up. I don't think Arizona is going to go get him with the 3rd pick. So I would look to the no. I think maybe that is the safest bet right now in this market.
Yeah, Arvel Reese, he's probably going to go top 3. But again, the investment's not going to pay back all that much. But also, it's just leverage. If I told you that you can have a $100 investment tonight, Joe, and by tomorrow morning I'm going to give you $13 back, like, hey, buddy, 8 p.m., can you lend me $100 to give you $113 by 7 a.m. tomorrow? You probably would take that. Like, Reese is going to be a top 3 pick. On cash, you could take that $100 wager, $100 investment, pays back to $113 back. Top 5 players drafted, so a little bit more of a chance to sneak in there. Mendoza, Reese, Bailey, Love, all at 80% or higher, but then the fun begins. Sonny Styles, Jordan Tyson climbing up, Caleb Downs, Carnell Tate, Joe. That 5th spot's going to be interesting tonight, and if you hit it right, that investment could turn profitable for you.
Yeah, the interesting thing, top 5, and again, would I be shocked if Caleb Downs goes to the Giants at 5? No. They need help in that secondary there, and he is one of those guys that I think could very well land in the top 5 here. Listen, Tyson, it's a nice story, but again, I'm not sold that any one of these wide receivers. There's going to be 3, 4 of them that go in the 1st round, but none of them move the needle. I think Caleb Downs is a guy, would not shock me if he lands in the top 5.
Or how about this, Joe? We always talk about those no contracts. Like running back is always a controversial position. If you feel that Jeremiyah Love won't be a top 5 player here in the draft tonight, how about a no contract at 21 cents? A $100 investment would pay back $4.77. Never know. He's a great talent. We know it. Maybe he gets overdrafted and finds himself in the top 4. But if he lands at 6 or less, that contract can be pretty profitable for you. Players drafted in the top 10, even more chance for some leeway at this point, Joe. We go down the, by the way, Caleb Downs, I'm going to put this in right now, Kalshi. A $100 investment pays back $127, that he will be a top 10 pick. That guy is a game changer. Absolutely, Joe. Should be a top 10 pick there. What do you think?
I agree. Absolutely should be a top 10. A lot of these guys, I mean, you're not going to get, you're not going to break the bank here with any of these selections, Donnie. There are some opportunities, though, I think that you can take advantage in some of the no markets. But right now, as you go down the board here, my goodness. I mean, you're basically betting on which one of these guys is not. How many offensive linemen are on this list, Donnie? To me, we haven't even talked offensive linemen, but that top 10, you're always going to see the best tackle off the board, are you not?
Yeah, absolutely here. And also, Joe, sometimes you just want to go head-to-head. Remove all the noise. Give me 2 players, just like in golf, Joe, right? Like, hey, I'm going to take Scheffler head-to-head with Rory McIlroy. Don't care who wins it, as long as my guy beats the other one. Well, how about tonight? Draft matchup, Arvel Reese versus David Bailey. David Bailey, currently the favorite once again in this market, at 53% as a chance to be drafted over Arvel Reese, who's 47% here. That's a fun market right there. The latest tea leaves, Joe, are leaning towards David Bailey going to the Jets.
Could, absolutely.
Yeah.
Arvel Reed, again, I don't think the Jets can go wrong with either pick, and I do believe what the market is telling you here, Donnie, is they don't think so either. The only thing with Bailey is he is younger, not as experienced, so I'm wondering if that's going to be a deciding factor for the Jets.
And also, Alabama, no stranger to placing players in the NFL. This draft market is just starting to come into play on Kalshi, because why? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus players to be drafted. Every one is 99 cents to the yes outside of 12 plus players here. They really don't want you going against Alabama just yet, but as this market starts to turn up and players get drafted, it's going to change quite a bit, Joe.
It is, and be wary about this, because outside of the top 5, we could get chaos.
Chaos is what we love. Prediction Markets Edge will be back on a Friday here, right here on the grid. See you then.